Hi, everybody. Welcome back again for another conversation and exploration in the space of relationships. And like you see, today I have with me my daughter, Srishti. Srishti is, what should I call you? A graduate student? Going to be a graduate student.
High school graduate.
Okay, so Srishti is a high school graduate, going to start her graduation studies this year. And I had her today because, see, we always have at home so many different conversations which we feel like if we just somehow record those conversations and start putting them online, they'll be very interesting. So let's see how today's conversation comes out. So,
hopefully good.
What is it that we're going to discuss today?
Okay, so I asked around my friends some questions they have about relationship, some queries they would want, answers to. And today's question is based on trust. Trust in a relationship. And what happens when it's broken?
Interesting. Okay.
Kind of heavy.
Yes and no.
No?
Not heavy in the sense because I don't think if a relationship is even possible without trust. But like life, there can be so many different layers and dimensions to it. So why don't we first listen to the question and then explore trust?
Okay, so the question is, after accidentally breaking the trust of my partner, I've been doing my best to improve and make sure that I don't make the same mistakes and reassure my partner that everything is okay. However, they get very worried. And sometimes it is frustrating because they blame me for things that I haven't done. How do I prove to them that I'm not keeping things from them?
Okay.
Heavy.
What makes it feel like heavy to you?
It's just sort of, it's hard to think. Because I can see both the parties, perspectives. On one side, the partner feels like, their trust has been breached. How do you recover from that? And then on the other side, they didn't mean to do that. And I also get their point. They want to, keep this relationship going, work on it. But it's hard for both the parties. So.
Yes, I agree. And also because we do not have quite a lot of insight into the full context of how does the trust got broken and what really are they talking about. So it's not for us to take sides or say, who's at fault here.
My friend's correct.
But what we can do is just explore, what trust is and how people have different opinions, different views of looking at trust in relationship. So there are two kinds of people in the world when it comes to trust. One kind who say, okay, I approach every person or situation with trust already. Like I give my trust and then I assess what's happening and if people are showing worthy of my trust or not. And then there are other kinds who would say, you got to earn my trust.
Right.
So I approach situation with my own, what do you call that? I wouldn't say doubt, but I wouldn't.
They would first calculate, then
calculate,
situation first.
weigh in. Is it even worthy of my trust or not?
Yeah.
So if I ask you, where do you see yourself leaning towards. Because see, both of these things could be situational too. That in some situations you choose to not offer your trust beforehand and, you know, wait and watch. And in some other situations you just give it away. But we all have some inclination, some proclivity, some leaning towards to. Where do you lean?
It's a hard question because, again, like it calls for the situation, right? And the person as well. So let's say if it's like a minor thing, maybe they're like, oh, here's a chocolate, you know, this is like $2 or something. Then I would like trust them and I'd be like, okay, $2 doesn't sound that bad. All right. Even though I probably don't know that person, but the situation, the wages, they're very minimal. So even if they're lying, what, you know, how much am I losing?
Yeah.
Whether like, but on the other hand, if it's like a huge situation where life and death, I don't know, then probably I would be a little cautious. But overall, I don't see why I have to doubt people. I think I'm lean more on trusting.
Yeah. You know, and I love the way that you brought in the concept or the idea of risk, because that's what we do, right? We always try to evade or avoid risks that are going to come and happen. And especially when it comes to relationships, again, it depends. If it is just between friends, or if it is between intimate romantic partners, or if it is with your husband or with your parents, you know, your level of risk or calculating that risk in a relationship is also going to vary quite a lot.
So there's no straight answer.
No, there's no straight answers, right? But I think there are a few things to understand about trust is that, which can really help us in relationships, is to just what you said. First of all, understand the people in terms of trust as well, right? Like, how do somebody give or offer their trust? Are they generally very trusting people, right? Generally, people who approach life and relationships and people with a lot of trust right from the get-go are more open, friendly, warm people who are not skeptical, and they are very inviting or giving, and they will go lean in, and they have more likely chances to, you know, make strong bonds with people. But then there is a downside as well. They are also not the doubting and skeptics. So what happens is sometimes they may be taken advantage of, or they may be, you know, avoiding to see some of the red flags that happens in the relationships, right? So they may be overstretching themselves quite a lot. On the other hand, there are the people who are more cautious, precautious, skeptical, and they'll be like, you know, come across as difficult till the time you have really proven yourself to be in their good books or to be somebody who's worthy of their trust, and then they will offer it to you.
Right.
But for them, once they have trusted, it's earned, and
they'll be loyal.
And they'll be loyal, and it's really hard to break it off quite easily. Right? Because they have already sort of assessed you and tested you on all of these different parameters. So it is very important to know, first of all, what's your own way of getting into a relationship?
Well, now the other side sounds better.
Perspective shifts, right? But again, so that's how usually people deal with the trust. But I would say it's not a unidimensional thing too. There are so many different dimensions of trust as well. there are different ways people trust people, right?
Example.
Okay. What do you trust me for?
I trust you to always annoy me when I share something funny with you, but you end up being a mother.
Very funny. Do you trust all your friends and all the people in your life for equally for the same kind of things?
No. Okay.
So,
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
right?
Yeah.
Like if you need some emotional support, you'll probably come to me, go to your dad, or maybe go to some of your friends. If you need some financial advice,
Definitely not my friends.
probably not your friends, but maybe some expert, or maybe you'll go to your uncle or to your dad, right?
Yeah.
If you want some career advice, then you will go to different people because you trust them, their opinion, their advice, their guidance, right? So that is how there are different ways in which people earn our trust, right? Some people earn our trust because they are reliable, right? They do whatever they say. If they say they will show up for you, they show up, and that's how you get to trust them. Some people have a credibility or some kind of an expertise which make you trust them, right? Like a financial advisor, an insurance advisor, or a banker, or a doctor, right? They have...
You would need to trust your doctor.
Definitely, right? So you trust them for their credibility. And then there are some people who attract trust by being open and vulnerable in front of you.
Yeah.
People who are open to share their own feelings, their experiences, like who are open to expose themselves in front of you, you naturally tend to trust them. You feel like, okay, I can do the same with them too.
Yeah.
Right? So, and people who like have integrity, they can be trusted.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is somebody whose values are known, and this person, holds those values utmost. They speak the truth. So it is the way people are with you, the way they show themselves up in your life is how you trust them. And so that happens even within relationships, and especially the more intimate relationships. And that brings us to the question of what do you do when the trust is broken or breached, right? Because before even going to that space, it is important to know what that trust really was that got breached, and how did it got breached, right? Like for some person, like amongst friends, if some of your friend has come and shared something with you in confidentiality, and you go ahead and say it to somebody else,
blast it off, write it on papers,
right? They will not come and tell you their personal matter again.
Yeah.
Does that mean it's going to break your relationship with that person?
Depends.
Maybe not. Right? Maybe not.
Maybe if maybe the information that they shared, they were being so vulnerable that it's like very close to their heart, and then that was shared. For some people, that is a deal breaker.
Yeah. Yes.
But also some people tend to be like, mistakes happen.
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So it's important to know what was it that was important to somebody to hold you in a position of trust. And if that is broken, how is it impacting the other person? What does it really mean for them? Like you said, is it a deal breaker? Or does it put you in a zone where they're like, you know what? I've been bitten once, but I'll take my chance. I'll see if you change your ways, if you do something about it. Because sometimes what happens is, it can be an honest and sincere mistake where somebody did not know that something was so important for you. You end up doing something and it takes you to a position where it's a breach of trust. In that moment, I think it is important for both of those people to sit together and have a conversation about it. The one who felt like my trust is breached should also sit and speak with the person and tell them that, you know what, this relationship is important for me, but what happened, like this incident, is not good, or it's not positive, or it's not sitting well with me because you did something, or you said something, or you didn't do something which feels like you have sort of broken my trust. And I just want to understand, or I just want to let you know that it is important for me, so that you know that it is important for me, right? And maybe give them a chance to repair. But if they still go ahead and make the same mistake even after being, spoken about, then clearly it hints into something else, that probably this person doesn't care that much for your trust or your feelings.
But what happens after, like, they've had this talk and it seems that, like, they've moved forward, they've moved past this, but then the partner is like, oh, I don't trust you because of this thing that happened back then. So, like, because in the question, like, they've kind of moved past that, but now their partner is being like, I don't know how I can trust you again, because, like, what if there's something else? And
then clearly they haven't moved past it.
So how do you move past it? What do you do?
See, again, when two people are involved, one has done something, to the other it feels like a breach of trust or a break in trust. It's important for both of people to think at their own part as well. For the one whose trust is broken, it's important for them to first of all realize whether this is something, again, non-negotiable, or something which is too important to ignore, or too important that they can't repair it and they can't sort of unsee the situation. Then they need to be honest and sincere to the other person. Right? Sometimes what happens is, when a relationship is too intimate, is too, bound with a lot of emotions, or if you have sort of cultivated kind of a dependency on the other person, sometimes you just don't want to maybe upset the situation, or you yourself have a fear of losing the person. So what you do is, you, instead of being truly honest and authentic and tell the other person how badly it has hurt them, and probably, there is no way recovering back from that hurt, and that they need to rethink whether they need to be in a relationship or not, they would just hide away from the situation, or try to get into this subconscious dramas in the relationship, instead of facing it right on the get-go.
Right.
And from the other person, it could also be their own inner sensitivity. For example, if I did something which sort of broke your trust, and I got to know that, oh, this was something so important for you, and now I need to do something to repair this situation, I would be always on some sort of an alert. Or I might develop some kind of an oversensitivity to the issues, right? Or maybe I would be too eager to repair this thing that I'm trying to show you that, oh, I'm doing good, and I'm trying to seek some response from you. And if I don't get that, I feel like, are you still doubting me? Or what's happening? Or would I be able to do that or not, right?
You did break my trust once. When you returned that puppy, I had a puppy and she returned it.
You did not have the puppy. You just...
I had the puppy for 2 hours. It was mine. Since that day, I have never trusted you with a puppy.
You literally brought somebody else's puppy home.
They gave it to me.
And then they came to ask for the puppy back. Okay, let's get back to the trust and not the puppy. I'm not getting you any puppy to earn your trust back.
I don't want a puppy. I want a kitten.
No. Okay.
Clearly, this relationship between us is not working out, Mama.
We'll see to that.
But I did like what you said about the person also like kind of looking inside and seeing that, because I think you're bound to feel guilty as well, right? And how to overcome that guilt that you've like broken someone's trust and it has, hurt them. Well, how can you forgive yourself for that?
That's a very good question and a very loaded one. And it brings in guilt. What is really guilt?
Feeling?
Yes. Yeah. It's a feeling. And what's behind guilt?
It's behind guilt. Fear? Maybe? A little bit of that.
A lot of self-judgment, I would say. So, I have a way of understanding feelings better. I have read it in some books as well, and then I found it to be true that feelings are pieces of information for us. So if we take guilt and we say, okay, so a guilt is arising in me, so what information does guilt bring for me? If I am guilty, if I feel like, oh, how would I feel guilty? I would have thoughts like, oh, I did bad, I did wrong, I broke somebody's trust, I'm a bad person, blah, 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 blah. A whole load of self-judgments, right? And negative opinions about self, right? That I should have done, or I shouldn't have done, or I could have done, or I couldn't have done, right? A lot of that kind of a thought process, which means that you are not allowing yourself to be human and make mistake.
Thing about humans is that we don't want to be human. We don't want to, we want to be perfect. I don't know where this came from, this idea of being perfect. I guess it's like always been here since the dawn of days. How do you break free from that then? Like every step of the way you're told that this is how things should be done, this is how you have to be, this is polite, this is not, don't make mistakes, and then we're graded on that. And people who make less mistakes are appreciated and they're praised.
Yes, and what you've just shared is exactly the reason why we go and get stuck into all of those feelings. See, guilt is not bad. It's just a piece of information that indicates to us that we are thinking about us in a certain way, which is painful, which is hurtful. So what can we do about it? So we can either correct our way of thinking about ourselves, right? And in order to do that, what do we need to do? We need to learn something from the situation. And what do we need to learn from a situation is that, okay, yes, I made a mistake. I did something which broke this person's trust in me. So my learning from this is that I do not repeat it next time, right? That I'd be mindful that I do not do what I did now, right? And move on from that. You take your learning and you move on. And with your own self and in between the relationship, there has to be a place for this learning and growth, right? From both the sides, from yourself as well. If I am the one who's made the mistake, I need to hold that space of learning for myself as well. And same goes for my partner. They also need to offer me that space of learning and growth and say, you know what? Okay, yeah, it happened. It was bad. It hurt me. It hurt you. I know you didn't mean it. Let's learn from it and move on. And when you go in that kind of a mindset, you would notice that when you recover from that situation, your trust is even deepened. So something happened that broke your trust is not the problem. What you did about it can either become the solution or the problem.
A very cringy analogy just came to my mind. Very corny, very cheesy.
Okay.
You know those that Japanese art of gluing together broken like bowls and stuff with like golden glue?
Yeah.
Just after that, it makes it look so much prettier than what it was originally.
Yes, that is called kintsugi. And it's not cringy. It can be corny, but not cringy. But it's beautiful. And that's exactly what it is. Knowing yourself, the other person, how do they view trust? How do you view trust? What does it mean for you? And then creating a space for honest conversations and creating an ability to mend the broken pieces with the golden glue. You know, they even say when a bone breaks and it heals, it's stronger than earlier. I don't know if it is biologically correct or not.
If that's true.
But it is a good analogy.
Do you want to try it?
No, I don't want to break any of my bones. This is one statement which I can trust if a doctor says. I don't need to break my bone to know it.
See, I don't trust you saying that right now. You'll have to pull it up on Google. In Google we trust.
Yeah. All right. See you next time.